following is taken from a larger lecture given by Professor Leiman called Response to Modern Scholarship on the Biblical Canon, given on January 1997 at the Sephardic Institute. I will place the link to the full lecture in the description box below.
I'm going to take the book of Susanna as a sample. The reason I'm taking the book of Susanna, which is included in the Apocrypha, is that it's only one chapter. So all of us will be able to go home tonight at a reasonable hour if we only discuss the book of Susanna, Shoshana. I beg the indulgence of those who know this book by heart, and for those who are not familiar with it, I'll briefly summarize the key portions of it. It's a beautiful book. It inspired much art and music in the medieval and Renaissance period. Anyone who's a master of Baroque art and music will be familiar with Susanna. In any event, begins by saying that there was a man living in Babylon whose name was Jehoiakim, and his wife's name was Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah. She was a very beautiful woman, and she feared the Lord. Her parents were righteous, strict observers of the laws of Moses. And two elders, two shoftim, after being appointed as judges, fell in love with Susanna, lusted after her, and at one point plotted against her. And they noticed that on certain days of the week she could be seen leaving her home and going to what we would today call pretty much a mikveh. And once they noticed her going to this bathhouse, she would close the doors, the maids would leave her in her privacy, and then the maids would come back and take her back to her home. The two plotted against her, ran in once when she was in the bathhouse, and basically said, "Look, the garden doors are shut, no one sees us, we are in love with you, so give your consent and lie with us. If you refuse, we will testify against you that a young man was with you, and this is why you sent your maids away." Susanna was married, a married woman. So the two judges, Jewish judges, plot against her and essentially are forcing her with this threat to lie with them. Susanna sighed deeply and said, "I am hemmed in on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death for me. And if I do not, I shall not escape your hands. I choose not to do it and to fall into your hands rather than to sin in the eyes of the Lord." Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice, and the two elders shouted against her. And of course people came running immediately and so on, and the two elders carried out their threat. They testified before court that they had caught Susanna with this married woman with a young man, that as they rushed in and saw her with this young man, the young man escaped, so of course they could not find the young man anymore, but they testified in effect that Susanna committed adultery. And she is condemned to death by the court in Babylonia. Susanna cried out with a loud voice, "O eternal God, who dost discern what is secret, who art aware of all things, you know that these men have borne false witness against me, and now I am to die," and so on. But just as she's being taken away to her death, a wise Jewish scholar, a young lad named Daniel, the Daniel of Sefer Daniel, came to the rescue. And he called for the court to convene again. And Daniel said to the two judges, "Separate them far from each other, and I will examine them." He wanted them examined separately rather than in the same courtroom. And when they were separated from each other, he summoned one of them and he said, "You old relic of wicked days, your sins have now come home. Now if you really saw her committing adultery, tell me this, under which tree did she commit adultery?" And he answered, "Under a mastic tree." The Greek word means under a cut tree. And to which Daniel then says, "Very well, you have lied against your own head, for the angel of God has received the sentence from God and will immediately cut you into two." A play on words. Then he put him aside and he commanded the other judge to come forth. And Daniel turned to the other judge and he said, "You offspring of Canaan and not of Judah, beauty has deceived your heart and lust has perverted your heart. This is how you have been dealing with the daughters of Israel in the past, and you continue to do so now. Now tell me, under which tree did you see Susanna committing adultery? And he answered, under the evergreen oak tree, a different tree. And the Greek term for evergreen oak here is a term which is a yew tree, H-E-W. And he answered, and Daniel said, very well, you have lied too against your own head, and the angel of God is waiting for his sword to saw you in two, to hew you in two, in other words, and may he destroy you both. And it goes on to say, then all the assembly shouted loudly and blessed God who saves those who hope in him. And they rose against the two elders, for out of their own mouths Daniel had convicted them of bearing false witness. And they did to them as they had wickedly planned to do to their neighbor, acting in accordance with the law of Moses. They put them to death, and thus innocent blood was saved that day. That essentially is the story of Susanna. To the best of my knowledge, the first Jewish authority to raise the issue of why the book of Susanna is not included in Tanakh was a great Gaon in Galicia, the Maratz Chayos, Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch Chayos, in his Kol Sifrei Maratz Chayot, Kol Sifrei Maratz Chayot, Volume 1, page 94. And I'm holding the text in front of me. Yes? No, we only have Greek versions, unfortunately, of Shoshana. Susanna has not been discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls, or the only version we have is Greek. That raises the interesting question whether or not, and we'll come to it, it was originally written in Greek, or whether it was originally written in Hebrew. Modern scholarly consensus is that it was originally written in Hebrew, that it was a Hebrew book, translated into Greek, but we have no Hebrew versions of this book.